Hello, everyone. Yes. For the people that do not know me, I am one of the founders of the LibreOffice project and doing marketing for LibreOffice since 2010, and previously doing some marketing for OpenOffice before 2010. Actually, I've changed my presentation yesterday at 11 p.m., but I should have changed it another time because there was a mistake on one of Michael's slides. You showed GAFAMs, but they actually changed their names. So today they're not anymore GAFAMs, but they're ARMS. And you know that in Italy, but in many countries, when a boy doesn't eat something, you put the food on a spoon and you do which means that these companies do want to eat this software world, and it's actually the truth. And one of the tools that we have to avoid this is exactly the open document format. Still a standard after 20 years, it was a challenge. Because it was not a challenge when it was started, because it started as the first standard. It was a challenge since when Microsoft introduced their, let's call pseudo-standard, but the reality is that it's a false standard. Because the power that Microsoft put behind Office OpenXML is so big in comparison that with the power that we could put behind ODF, which is amazing that after 20 years the format is still making progress, although probably slow in a slower way than expected, but it's making progress. And I think we have some contributors in this room, Michael Stahl for sure. I'm not a technical person, but I know the name of the people that are contributing. Many LibreOffice developers contributing directly or indirectly to the format. Michael is in the technical committee with other people. So I think we should thank all these people for the work that they've done over the last 20 years. It's been very important. And remember, open document format is the true document standard. I perfectly know, and I use LibreOffice on a Linux machine, but for my daily life, I exchange a lot of documents with people that are using Microsoft Office. And of course, thanks to the work of these people and thanks to the work of developer, I can save in a proprietary format and open the proprietary format without having issues. I'm a marketer, so I create a lot of documents, and over the last 15 years, but probably more than 15 years, I never had a real issue with the people I was exchanging the document with. I take care about fonts, of course, so I try to avoid fonts that are not easily readable by people with using Windows machines. So the story started in 2005 when LibreOffice was declared as an OASIS standard. At that time, the number of data, the amount of data that we were creating was not even comparable with the amount of data that we are using and creating today. So these are IDC data. IDC says that in 2025, we will generate an estimated 175 zettabyte of data, which is, I think, is a number that even mathematicians have an issue in figuring out. And the worrying factor is that over 90% of these 175 zettabyte of data will be stored on servers which are owned by American companies. And nothing against American companies, but of course, especially with today's, let's call them fluctuating politic approach, having those data on a server that is not controlled by someone independent worries a little bit myself. My data are not there, but the issue, the big issue is that the majority of people has proprietary data stored on proprietary servers. So we should educate people to understand that they have a way out of being conditioned by large companies, big tech. When I try to explain to some people that controlling the format means that they control the content, the majority of people that has not technical background has real issues in understanding this. So we have to be smart in finding ways of explaining this. In some cases, by shocking a little bit. I will show you in 2 slides the screenshot of Microsoft Word that I usually show to people, because the problem is that if you don't own the decoder, and if the decoder is open source, of course not, if you're not technical, I'm not technical, so I will never be able to own the decoder, but I trust on the open source developer that own the decoder. And the fact is that if it's open source, it's public. The code is somewhere, can be accessed, can be checked and modified. So this is important. Of course, not a single user owns the decoder, but the community, because the developers are within the community owns the decoder. So this is the screenshot of Microsoft 365 that I show. And people look at me and say, what? I said, this is exactly what happens. So this is the Xerxes inscription. It's in Turkey, near the Van fortress. It's in 3 different languages. And it's Old Persian, Elamite, and Babylonian. Tell me which one is which. The 3 have been inscribed by the same person using the same alphabet, although the words were probably different. With the death of that guy, we have completely lost the interpretation. It took years to understand what was there. This is what can happen if you are using a proprietary decoder. If the owner of the decoder drops the decoder, that document will be lost forever. So I make another, I'm not always serious as a person, so I make another comparison for Office OpenXML. You probably have heard about Plato's definition of a man. Plato said a man is an animal with 2 legs and no feathers, which is a little bit hard, but it's the reality. So there was Diogenes the Cynic, who was, let's call it a colleague of Plato, that said, that is Plato's man, because he is an animal without feather and 2 legs. And so I say that Microsoft Office OpenXML is to an open standard format as Diogenes the Cynic's chicken is to Plato's man. This shocks people, but in some cases is effective. People will start having question marks in their head. This is the process that we have to use. And only by working together, technical people and non-technical people, Technical people define the standard, work on the standard. Non-technical people try to describe the standard, which is a different thing. So describing the standard is important because a description of the standard is what will hit the brain of the user. And if we manage to have more users with a question mark associated to document format, then we will have a chance of having ODF more and more used. We don't want to replace Office OpenXML. We just want to help people to give them real control and therefore digital sovereignty over the contents that they have created. They are sure that the contents are theirs. We should just try to explain them that we seriously doubt that the contents are theirs as long as they are using a proprietary format. Thank you for listening, and I go to the next slide, I think.